I rarely dare to call him a friend. I think it goes too far. But as a pupil, a disciple of him, yes, that's true. That's really true. I have prepared a little because my English is not so good, but I try my very best.
We would like to listen a bit from you. How you met him? How was this encounter? When was it? And how was the shape of it? And your impressions? Or would like to hear.
The very first personal meeting took place in 1975 at Gronemeyer on the terrace of the famous White Villa, where then Cedotti had its residence. In the context of a peace research project, we were traveling through Mexico, Venezuela, and Colombia to study various development projects. Above all, we thought it the most important station on our journey. But our pilgrimage to the renowned Ivan Illich came to a rapid stop at the reception of the White House. When we asked for a possibility to meet Ivan Illich, he let us know that his time wouldn't allow him such spontaneous meetings. We were to make an appointment for one of the next days. But as we had to go back to Mexico City in this very evening, the leader of our peace project, Hans Eckhard Bahr, insisted to be received in the course of this day. By messenger, he reminded Ivan on an invitation to come to Cuernavaca whenever there was an opportunity to do so. Thus reminded on his invitation, Ivan asked us immediately to the terrace for half an hour's talk, its length being strictly observed by him. When the audience was finished, he invited us kindly to participate in his afternoon working group, where about 20 members got involved in a rather controversial discussion on medical nemesis. This debate was at the same time confusing and inspiring, disquieting and fascinating, disconcerting and encouraging for me. In a way completely strange, and on the other hand, like coming home. Ivan was a master of irony. And often enough, when he made a statement, I didn't know if he was speaking ironically or seriously. When I confront him with questions now, more than 20 years after his death, I never get a clear answer. Only quite ordinary questions concerning everyday's routines were answered directly and outright. With most of the others, the essential ones, he preferred to take me along an extended detour, in the end of which I would have liked to ask him, "But Ivan, what has all this to do with my question?" Instead of fobbing me off with an answer, he opened different possibilities to ask that could foster new ways of thinking. Thinking is a subsistent occupation. Everybody can and should do it himself. It is no good to leave it to scientists, philosophers, and all kinds of experts. Not even Ivan Illich. Therefore, Ivan, instead of answers, gave our questions back to us until the horizon widened and things could be seen in a different light. Ivan told us about the relationship between a master and his disciple. The relation starts with an election. Be it the disciple who chooses a master, be it the other way around. The disciple asks the master, "Master, please do teach me to look at the world with your eyes." So if the master agrees, the pupil has to follow his teacher obediently, step by step. This seems to require blind subordination from the disciple. But then it is him who decides when the suitable time has come to leave the master and to go its own way, looking for a new master ready to teach him his view on the world. Ivan thought a great deal of obedience between me and you. I've heard him say many times to myself and to others, because it's you, I'm gladly willing to obey you. In this sense, obedience is the most personal kind of relationship between friends. Usually we think of obedience as a kind of submission, as a particularly drastic form of a power relation, with one person having the saying and the other losing his or her sovereignty completely. Uns gut leiden, which cannot be translated. It's something like a kind of declaring friendship. Ich kann dich gut leiden means I'm troubled by you. I suffer from you, but I can't do it because it's you. And sometimes I can even do it well. Ich kann dich gut leiden. I think it's very, very important that the word leiden is there. It's disillusioning. It's not being in love with each other, but it's I'm ready to even suffer from you because it's you. It's a fine word. Ivan liked it very, very much.
Yes.
He was able to call on me and to say, Marianne, can you be within 2 hours at Bielefeld? I am changing train there and I've an hour. I have an hour. And I packed my things together,
In when?
traveled to Bielefeld.
Wow.
And then we talked an hour and then he...
Why do you think two young people are here talking about Ivan Illich?
Well, the first impulse was to be very happy about it, because it's not natural, the thing that happens, that young people ask for Ivan Illich. In our surrounding, meanwhile, there are some of them, but we are always happy when young people come to our summer university, so that not only the aged people who will die in the next years are talking together, and the continuity is not guaranteed anymore. And it needs continuity, I think, because I think Ivan's thoughts are as important as nothing else in our times, in the moment. He has to be read and he has to be recognized as the person he was. You should be a witness and not only an onlooker on things. I think it's a very important difference. I found it in a book of Kurt Marti, who is a theologian of Switzerland, and he makes the difference between onlooker, who is only curious, wants to see something, maybe he wants to be part of a sensation or something like that, and the witness. The witness is one who has learned something in his life and he wants to give it to the next generation. To do this without a missionary impulse, to do it because you want simply to tell what you have experienced, not to be a pedagogue and to educate you, but simply to tell, I have in my life, I had been very, very happy to meet Ivan Illich. That's my first sentence. I have been very happy to meet Ivan Illich, and from the first moment I met him at the first meeting, I knew he would be an important person in my life. And when I speak to other people who have known him, they tell something very similar. There has been, maybe there was a glamour in his eyes, something that was full of light, and he was a very, very attentive looker on your face. You knew, yeah, there was you couldn't bear his gaze.
That's a good moment maybe to invite you to talk more and address more the concept of powerlessness that you brought up yesterday.
Yeah.
I think that's something you wanted to.
I have made some notes, and I try to read, and then we can talk. And I try to be prepared to spontaneous answers. I have never heard of a person who attacked power without wanting it for himself. I think it's a very interesting statement of Elias Canetti. A revealing statement because it says nothing less than that power is good for nothing else than having it and maintaining it. Those who can make as many other creatures as possible dance to their tune are powerful. And we call those who have to dance the powerless. But what if the powerless don't surrender themselves to the power? If they no longer make themselves available as subjugated people? If they refuse to dance, then the power of the mighty melts like snow at the sun, because the powerful are extremely dependent on the existence of their subjects. What if we who are kept powerless made it clear to those in power that we desire nothing, or better, less and less of that what power has to offer, least of all the power itself? I was convinced that political apathy of people had its origin either in the feeling of Ohnmacht, powerlessness, or on the other hand, in a feeling of being content enough. Let it be as it is. It's sufficiently contenting, and it's in any case it's better than it used to be. And then you don't feel the impulse to change something. I was convinced about these two sources of political apathy. And then Ivan came and told me that Ohnmacht is something very worth thinking to think about, and has another side, another face. And maybe he also would have said yes, but there is a way of being content which is similar to genug ist genug, enough is enough. There are two ways of being content. I content myself because I'm too lazy to go on the street and to want to change something. Let it be as it is. And on the other hand, I can be content as my mother was content. It's enough. It's enough. It mustn't be more. Yeah. These are sentences from Ivan himself. I cannot avoid to be surrounded by helpers, by saviors, and by healers, and to feel threatened by them. I cannot avoid that. But, and yes, now that's the big but. I don't want to belong to this world. I want to feel myself as stranger as pilgrim, as outsider, as visitor, and as prisoner. It's a way of being free, without being secure, without being safe. Freedom and safety are contrahands. If you want to have safety, you must agree to a loss of freedom.
Yes.
Always. That's what Erich Fromm taught me. If you want to have freedom, you must have a loss of security. That's the other thing. And if you want security, you have to agree to a loss of freedom. But I think the modern engineering spirit strives for a win-win situation. They like to have freedom because they can do all the things that are necessary themselves with the help of techniques. And they are the inventors of these, so they are sovereign. They think they are sovereign, and so they can free and secure in the same direction. And this will not function. Freedom and security will be two very different things, and if you want to have safety, you have to agree to a loss of security. There are no win-win situations in the world. In this world, no.
From where do you think that came in Ivan Illich, like this freedom thing? Because he had this very strong, right?
I don't know. Must have been something in his family. There must have been resources or sources of this. But he was an amazing person. You couldn't say, that's the cause of this idea. Never. His great idea was that always surprise is very, very important. You must be open to surprise, otherwise you will understand nothing. Surprise is this is the moving drive, the moving force in his life. He was very, very ready to be surprised by people. If you don't want to be surprised by people, you have to understand them. When we say, I understand you, I know, means I know what is in your innermost core. What's going on there in your innermost, but I never can. I never know what you experience. I can experience you, but I never know what's in your in your core. I never know. There's no access to the other person. And we are really, really strangers for this other, which is hard to endure. When you think of young people, it's always my example, and for this, they are in love with each other, very freshly in love with each other. And then you must wait. You can wait, I think, some days, and then the question will arise, and what do you think now? What do you think now? And it's completely in vain to ask this question, because he can tell you what he is thinking, but you will never know what is his experience of that, what he tells you. His experience is different. You hear what he says with your experience of the meaning of what he says, but it's not that what is in him or in her. And I think this allows me to say, understanding destroys. Understanding is a form of distraction. To not allow the other person to be different, completely different, and a secret which can never be solved. And that's painful. It's painful. And maybe the better you know a person, the secret becomes deeper and deeper and more painful. But then there's something which is helpful, very helpful. When we agreed to this duo that we are, to the two, when we celebrate the two that we are, and the difference between us, and we sit together and look at the moon, then we can enjoy that this togetherness and looking at the moon is an experience that I can have only with you, with no other person. That this is our experience of each other, that we are looking together to the moon or to whatever. And there's a passage in an interview Levinas has given to Florian Rötzer. Do you know this interview? And very important for me, for understanding what strangeness means and what respect is meaning. And he says to Florian Rötzer, when I look at the other, when I experience the other, and then he says, no, experience is already too much. That needs already a pre-knowledge of the other. Experience is too much. When you look at the other, you are touched, and you are touched by the other. And then he says, "Je suis touché." That's French. I am touched by you, and that's the utmost what I am allowed to do with the other, to be touched. I'm completely the receiver of the other person and not the pedagogue of the other person. I receive him and I open myself to be a receiver of what he can be for me, or he or she can be for me. In Germany we have a saying, der andere geht mich an. The word geht heißt to go, and aggresses me, in the Latin meaning of the word of aggression, to go, to move towards the other, and the other moves to me, and so that I am moved by him. I am moved by him. That's the only way to be near.
Following up with what you're saying, Marianne, I was curious to ask you about this openness for surprise and for, I think there is a saying in Illich that he said, I think he said something like that, when I look at you, I cares you with my eyes.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
I think there is a...
But I can understand what you say in reminding, in the memory of his gaze.
Of his gaze, yeah. And I was curious, and that's something I'm usually interested to hear more about, the gatherings with Illich. How was he refers in Das Geschenk das Konspiratio, that the word, at least translated to English, was atmosphere.
Yes, I read that in your questions.
Okay.
And I've commented on atmosphere a little. What Ivan called atmosphere, in German, Stimmung. Stimmung is a word that comes from Stimme, and Stimme means voice. Atmosphere has something to do with the voice, with Stimme, with sound. Atmosphere has always to do with a very concrete situation. It has a special sound. It smells. It needs the attention of the nose particularly. Ivan spoke of snuffling and sniffing, of what is going on here, snuffling and sniffing. The nose was very important for him because his nose was very big. He had a big nose and he could snuffle and sniff, I think better than others. And he spoke of snuffling and sniffing, of sense, style, and competence. What is going on here in the field of senses, of sense, not senses, sense? What makes sense here in this room? What kind of style is wanted here or is used here, and what competence is here in this room? Studying and sniffing and snuffling of the atmosphere. The atmosphere tastes. It has a special combination of colors. It can be warm or cold or something in between. There might danger in the air that determines the atmosphere, or something very a good joyful climate. All this is possible, and you can perceive the atmosphere only with complete alert senses. You have your senses must be open, otherwise the atmosphere will not show. Atmosphere, in my understanding, is a kind of threshold, a threshold where an encounter happens between a perceiving person and a perceived situation. And this is not a question of subject and object, but a coincidence of two lively and complementary subjects. Even the situation is subject, it's acting on you. It has it influences you. You be not in an atmosphere and you remain what you are or what you have been before you got in a situation. You are in change. You have to decide something in this atmosphere. Who do I want to be in this room? Who do I want to be? So there are two complementary subjects in a talk, in a conversation with each other. You cannot make an atmosphere. You can spoil it when you try to manage it. That's my definition of atmosphere, threshold, a threshold between two subjects. And Ivan was very peculiar about concreteness and about the senses that he thought were in great danger in our present modern technology. And he thought that the senses were in the danger to become technogene themselves. He described our world as a technogene or technogenic?
Technogenic. Very good.
Yeah. Technogenic milieu. And this technogenic milieu meant that it was planned as a second nature, completely man-made, completely planned, with a tendency to become a world where there's nothing left that is not made by man's will. Yeah. And this is the technogenic milieu. The persons who are striving to create this milieu are the engineers. It's a concept of engineers. And Ivan said that these engineers try to don't only try to change the world by technical innovation. That's the only form of change that they accept, technical innovation. And Ivan said that's not only the world that they try to change in their sense, but it must be also the senses, to experience the world as they want to be it experienced. Yeah. I have read, when we were in Italy now with the younger people, there was a text, and there was cited a person that was, in this sense, one of the guys of the different Silicon Valleys all over the world, inspirited by this way of thinking. And he has said the dangerous attitude in the modern world that hinders progress extremely. What would you think is the most, in the mind of an engineer, is the most dangerous attitude to disturb progress? Poesy. Poesy. The most important danger is poesy. The senses can be active in this atmosphere that Ivan thought of when he spoke of concreteness.
And therefore the gatherings and the meetings with Illich were very much...
They were very concrete, with music, with eating, with a good wine, and with joyful, and they were full of spirit, and we liked to be together. We liked to be together, though we had thoughts that were completely distressing. That doesn't exclude each other.
Indeed. You referred to the history of scarcity,
Yeah.
and to needs as something that was elemental in Illich's work. And by listening to your while listening to your witness of the atmosphere,
Yeah.
as something very much concrete, I would like to know how your own ideas or your own research, your own interests find their places in these gatherings, in these meetings with Illich.
They were questions that I had to think of. And one of the questions that I had to think of was the concept of needs. Because as many people, most people today in Germany would say about needs is, well, that they come from the inmost core of yourself. And they are what expresses your own wishes, extremely pure. And when somebody says, but it's my Bedürfnis, he says, that's very urgent to me and you must listen to me, it's urgent. Bedürfnis has to do with what I am allowed, in my society, allowed to wish. And this leads to consumerism.
Yeah.
People think Bedürfnis has to do with consumerism, with commodities. And this is to be corrected, I think, when you want to know what Ivan thought of Bedürfnisse. He had a very, very negative interpretation for Bedürfnisse because they are so limited to that what is allowed. And it's by no means it's something of your dreams or your wishes or your deep, deep wanting. It's accepted that needs are fulfilled with something that is called in Germany Befriedigungsmittel. And in English it's satisfier. If you have needs, you need satisfier to be happy. Satisfier. I don't know if you can hear in the English word need that this is the context, because Befriedigungsmittel, can you hear the word that is in Befriedigungsmittel?
Frieden.
Peace.
Which is peace. Oh my.
The Befriedigungsmittel, the satisfier in Germany, is a process to get content, to get zufrieden, to have peace.
Yes.
And if you have the Bedürfnis as something that is connected with commodities, it's connected also with competition, because commodities are never. There are never enough commodities to satisfy the whole mankind. And if there might be enough commodities, the Bedürfnisse, the needs will grow. So there's again this disproportion between what people want and what they are allowed to do, to have. Wishes can be fulfilled, wants can be fulfilled, but Bedürfnisse cannot be fulfilled. They have to be befriedet, calmed down, in a way calmed. And then there's another thing. Bedürfnisse have to be fulfilled by an instance, by an agent that is not yourself. You cannot fulfill your needs, so you have to address to a person or to an instance to fulfill, to satisfy your needs. And this means there's a power relation. The one person who is needy and the other person who has the means to to satisfy. So that's what one has to understand is that the basic relation, if as soon as you use the word needs, the basic relation is a power relation between two. The one is dependent, and the other has the power to say under what conditions I will satisfy your needs. He dictates the conditions. Mostly it's money, but it can also be behave correct, please. Do as I say you, as I want. If people have needs, they are not in the position not in a position to fulfill them themselves. They are dependent. And this means they have to get something. They must get something. In English, you would say they must get something, which is in the power of the administrator of the Befriedigungsmittel. And this getting, I must get something. In Germany, it has the word kriegen.
War?
Yeah. I have to get something. Ich muss das unbedingt kriegen. You can also say bekommen, but it's more lucid to say I have to kriegen etwas. I have to kriegen something.
Wow.
So you have the context of Befriedigungsmittel, Krieg, competition, and the restriction to want what you are allowed to want. This is the context now. So kriegen means, kriegen hints to this power relation in which the people who are dependent to get something are in a rivalry, in a rivalry, because when I have enough, you must be modest, and it's your loss. In the context of needs, there is war, competition, really serious competition. Life and death are dependent on this kind of needs. It's the meaning that you have to restrict to those wishes that you are allowed to have. You mustn't dream. Your wishes mustn't grow into the sky. And you have the linguistically, you have the presence of war. In this relationship.
We understood Illich as this person that was always trying to but what does it mean? Is it really like that? Like he was always turning and trying to put us in a place of questioning and opening.
Yeah.
So we would love to hear about bringing.
Yeah. Let's talk about modern certainties. They are extremely dangerous, in my opinion, because you wouldn't even be aware of the fact that they are existing, and that our opinions, our ways of thinking, our judging, or of our judging, our ways of looking on our surrounding world are deeply influenced by the modern certainties, and you will not be aware of the fact that they are existing.
I would like to hear from you a bit about this idea of the table in Illich, and especially in Germany. We are aware of Kräftingstrasse as one of the places he used to meet and have gatherings and give lectures as not an extension of the university, but as the main place for actually thinking together.
Yeah, a counterpoint to
the university.
Counterpoint, right? In the musical sense of the term. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you could share a bit about that.
this was a very special place in Germany, I think. Many people, something like a pilgrimage was going on to Bremen and to meet Ivan and to meet each other. Also, there were many friends who were there when he was lecturing. He lectured any Friday in the winter term, and for 4 hours, and always in the same room near the library, the university library. And there were about, Reimer, how many people were there? I don't know. About 200 people every week, sometimes more, sometimes less. And he had a special way to come. When he began his lectures, he entered the room, and people looked what's going on then. He came sometimes a little late, sometimes a little too early, because he hated to be punctual. He wanted not even to be punctual in the sense of the quarter, the academic quarter, but he decided when it was good. And he had something like an intuition if there would be a guest from outside, and so then he was there earlier. I was there sometimes with my students. Reimer was also there with the students. There's this interesting story to tell. But then Ivan came and looked around, and when he saw a person who was not always there, he was happy, and he came and said goodbye. He sat on the table. Always he sat on the table, and then he looked around and said, "Who you are? Who are you?" And he asked my students. And then he said, "But don't tell me your name. I will not remember your name, but tell me, what are you reading?" Which was a very embarrassing question, because our students didn't read anything. So this was always somewhat, I don't know the word, einschüchtern. It caused anxiety. It caused anxiety, and then he was very friendly and greeted all of them and so on. And then he began the lecture, and in the pause of the lecture, he smoked a little bit to be able to endure 4 hours of lecturing, because he was always under the impression of pain in his head. My students, in the end of the lecture, when they were there for the first time and also later, they said, "I haven't understood a word. I didn't understand anything, but the way he lectures is so fascinating that I've nearly be out of breathing the whole time, because it's so exciting how he's present in the room." Yeah. I want to show you this table because it is a hospitable table, and this is a structure that is in him. And when I speak of him, I mean him. I don't mean it. It's not an object, because he is my friend. This table is my friend, and in his structure, there's the obligation to be hospitable. When this table is in your room, you have to be hospitable. You can't live at your own. You have to be hospitable. And I would like to show you how it is made, how the craftsman intuitively knew something about hospitality. I have to take away the cloth, and then you will realize that it is really not a beautiful table. On the contrary, it's rather ugly, and we didn't like. For some while, Reimer and I were not ready to take this table into our assemble of furniture, because it wouldn't. It was too big and so on. But then, when it came to us after the death of my mother. I learned to know his qualities, and they are very diverse, his qualities. So I shall show you how it is possible to make a table in itself hospitable. And it's stable even at this length, because there are additional legs here.
And these legs come down.
Yeah, they come down by
Wow.
yes. This is
It's
the table.
very stable.
As a piece of craft,
Yes.
it's a masterpiece.
Yes.
It's really a masterpiece.
It really
And
is.
this table has seen lots of assemblies of people, lots of talking people around the table, eating around the table. My mother, in the time of my mother, it was so, and now we try to use this table in the same sense. From time to time, not every day, but it's a very useful table. And you can imagine when this table was expanded to this length, something very special, some special event was expected, a feast, or my mother was producing all our dresses, and she had a sewing machine, and when the table became its full length, maybe she was about to sew a dress for me, or nice shirt for herself, and so. Or wallpapers were rolled out on this table, and the walls were decorated newly, and so on. Many very important activities took place at this table, but the most important was the hospitality, and you can imagine at least there can take place, I think, 16 to 18 persons.
Wow.
Yeah. And when the governor, Jerry Brown, was here the evening we had with him, I think we were 20. Yeah. And this is what I like. He is not only a place to eat and to be together, it's also a place of memory. I think this table can tell you lots of stories. The tablecloth hang over on all sides, so that we felt like in a cave. The adults were sitting around the table and had very interesting talks that we didn't understand completely, but we thought we understand a good deal of them. And my mother allowed us always. We were not obliged to go to bed when the adults came to visit us. We could remain under the table, below the table, but we were not allowed to draw attention on us. And we were very still, and only listeners, blind passengers, we could sit there, and we could go to bed when we liked and when we were tired. So this table began to be interesting for us in our earliest days, and then later on our schoolwork was made at this table, and then our friends came and we had feasts and so on. This is a hospitable table, and it is, as I told you, it is a subject. And you see, it has the right length to bring together a population that has the right measure. 16, 18 people can talk together, all together, or
Mhm.
can build small groups.
First, thank you for showing him
Yeah.
to us in such a concrete way. It's a material, it's matter that has a physicality that allows these not only ideas but this way of living to be open for surprise, as
Yeah. Yeah.
you mentioned, the idea of powerlessness
Yeah.
and in hospitality, and a table that can fit the four of us and the three of us here, that can also fit 18 and 16. It's the concreteness
Yeah.
of your way of living, which is very special. It's very special it's very inspiring to be able to witness and be welcomed in this this part of that which is actually your life. And I was amazed by the fact that one of our questions was, what was the ideas, concepts that were already part of your life and that resonated with Illich.
Yeah.
And one of the key ideas in Illich is the table.
Yeah.
And hearing you talking about growing up and being under the table with your brother and having a relationship with
Yeah.
him, with
Yeah.
this particular table.
Yeah.
And to know that in Germany this was also a table for gathering, for creating the atmosphere, it's inspiring.